I talk a lot about finding that sense inwardly in which there is no sense of an individuated self. And one of the things that often comes up in conversation with people about that sort of thing is, what would keep me from doing outrageous things if there weren't a sense of self inside? If I don't have that sense of self, there are so many things then that have motivated me in the past, and what if all those motivations are gone? Am I going to just walk away from everything? Or am I going to decide that nothing matters at all? And what it really does is kick into gear a certain kind of fear pattern. It's terribly understandable. As is true for this sort of thing all the time, the best answer to that sort of thing is come and see for yourself. Have the experience. But in the meantime, when that fear pattern runs about what would I do or who would I be or would I be anything at all, and could I even operate in the world, what that fear has forgotten is that what replaces it is that sense of overwhelming allness in which everything all seems to be one, everything seems to be connected. There's no sense of separation. And as I so often try to articulate, in that there is this overwhelming sense of wholeness in which there cannot be any sense of lack, want, or need. And that's among the reasons why it feels so peaceful. It's also why in that awareness, it's essentially impossible for there to be any particular kind of fear. And as we've so often heard, love is the opposite of fear. And if there isn't fear, then the natural default setting becomes something loving. And in fact, at the very end of the game, love is all-encompassing, and in fact has no opposite at all. So in that awareness of that lack of separation, that wholeness, that lack of an individuatedness, its natural default setting is something loving. And that is what ultimately informs the movements, the choices made. And so those fears that say something like, what if I just walk away from everything? Or what if I just decide nothing matters? Well, what's overwhelmingly likely is that whatever's in front of your nose, you meet with something that's more loving. And so if it's your job or your career, whatever choices you make, whether you stay or whether you go, whether you leave it, it's likely that that's going to be done from a place that's particularly loving. When you look at the people in your life and think, what would I do? How would I manage? How would I go about all these relationships? Well, the fact is that whatever it is that you do, whether you stay or whether you go, it's overwhelmingly likely that you're going to make those choices out of a sense of tremendous lovingness. And it's hard to imagine a real downside to that. Imagine what it might be like to meet all the people in your life, whether they're your family or whether they're strangers, and doing so from a place in which there's a total lack of fear. Whatever happens, whatever choices you make, whatever circumstances come, it's so very likely that you'll meet them in a way that's much more loving. And as a result, probably very graceful. So when it comes to the question of what am I going to do when I come to this particular place in my own journey, and all the worries crop up about how it will go or how it should go, that's going to be unique to you. You will indeed travel your very own path. And mine, nor anyone else's, is necessarily a model for it. But what I would stand behind 1,000% is that as you make your way through those fear patterns and come to that place in which that fear is gone, you'll make the decisions about what's ever in front of your nose and whatever the circumstances are in your life from a place that's quite loving and peaceful. It doesn't mean that only good things will happen to you. The slings and arrows of life may still fly, because that's what a dualistic world is like. It's just simply likely that you'll meet those slings and arrows from a place that's consistently more kind, gentle, and loving than perhaps you did in the past. So that's good. Peace be with you, my friends. Here's walking in spirit. I look forward to seeing you on the trail sometime. Peace. If you enjoyed this, I hope you'll hit the like button, subscribe, the bell notification. When you do those things, not only does it mean that more of this will find you, but it also means that it will find other people more readily. And for those who have ears to hear, that could be very helpful.